Hey, thanks for clicking on my video. If this video helps you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. It is greatly appreciated and it really helps. Let's get to the video. Hello everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how we can use a trigonometric difference formula. So in the previous video we talked about what some sum and difference formulas for these trig ratios are. So if you want to check that out, I will put that in the cards right now. So for this one it just says find cosine of a minus b, given that cosine of a is equal to negative 12 over 13, with a being between pi over 2 and pi, and sine of b equals 3 over 5, with b being between 0 and pi over 2. So if I know we're trying to find cosine of a minus b, then we need to remember our cosine difference formula, which is cosine of a times cosine of b plus sine of a times sine of b. So we need four things, right? We need cosine of a and b, we need sine of a and b. Well, we know what cosine of a is, and we know what sine of b is. So what do we need to know? We need to find sine of a, and we need to find cosine of b, right? That's what we need to find. So to do that, we can use the information they gave us, and we can draw our right triangles onto our coordinate plane and figure out what these measures would be. So let's draw a y-axis and an x-axis here. And let's add in where these triangles will be located. So now the intervals that they've given us in radians. So if you remember, this would be like 0 radians, this would be pi over 2, it's a really bad pi symbol, pi over 2, this would be pi radians, this would be 3 pi over 2, and then all the way back to 2 pi. So when it says that cosine of a is between pi over 2 and pi, that's just telling us that it's in quadrant number 2. And then when sine of b says that b is between 0 and pi over 2, that's telling us that b is in quadrant number 1, okay? So let's go ahead and graph these triangles and figure out what our other side lengths would be. So for cosine of a, we're going to draw our triangle out into quadrant number 2. And these might not be exactly to scale, but it'll give us an idea of what the side measures should be. So it says cosine of a, so if we put a right here, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So we know our hypotenuse is 13, and this would be a distance of negative 12 because we are, or a measure of negative 12, maybe not a distance, because we are moving to the left on our x-axis. Now if we think about what our Pythagorean triple would be for a leg of 12 and a hypotenuse of 13, then that would be a vertical distance or a vertical measure of 5. So now we need to know what cosine of b is. So cosine of b, or excuse me, we need to know what sine of a is. We're focusing on sine of a right now. So sine of a would be opposite over hypotenuse, which would be 5 over 13, okay? So let's actually grab that and let's move it right up here, okay? All right, now let's focus on our angle B. Angle B says we are between 0 and pi over 2, which would be like between 0 and 90 degrees. So we know our triangle would be out in this region somewhere. Now I am going to make this one a little bit smaller than the other one I made because our measures are a little bit smaller. So sine of b, and we are given sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse. So we know this would be 3 and this would be 5, meaning that our distance here would be 4 because that would be a 3, 4, 5 Pythagorean triple. So we need to know cosine of b. So we'll write it up here, cosine of b. And that would be adjacent over hypotenuse, which according to our diagram would be 4/5. So now we have cosine of a, cosine of b, sine of a, sine of b. Let's plug those values into our difference formula and solve for cosine of a minus b. So cosine of a we said was negative 12 over 13. Cosine of b we found to be 4 over 5. And we're going to add that to sine of a, which we found to be 5 over 13, times sine of b, which is 3 over 5. So here we're going to get negative 48 over 65 plus 15 over 65. So we add those together and we get negative 33 over 65. So that would be the value of cosine of a minus b. It would be negative 33 over 65, and that is how you can use a trigonometric difference formula.